What's up, your boy Vaughn of Reaction. In today's video, we have Triple H last championship reign by wrestling's premiere. Is my lighting good, bro? Like, I got a new lamp, a new ceiling fan, but it's only one big light. Like, y'all see that? It's just one light. This lighting kind of ass, my nigga. Like, shit. Should I still? Cause I stopped using my my ring light. I'm gonna start using it. Like my face still kind of dark. Like, I'll put it over there.
Idea that the year would be riddled with injuries ahead of the biggest WrestleMania of all time. WrestleMania 32 is constantly promoted as one of the biggest ever, and one has to wonder what would have been in the card. But regardless of that, the situation that WWE were in caused them to change plans, especially when Seth Rollins suffered a torn ACL, who's positioned as a major part of the shows and was either going to face Triple H.
That nigga Seth Rollins, the Anthony Davis of wrestling.
Or feature in the highly anticipated Shield Triple Threat match. So the plans change. I imagine that Triple H and Roman Reigns were always going to cross paths because that sounds like a WWE move that to them would feel huge. And after Rollins went away, that was the story. It was all about getting Roman over. Reigns at the time was still especially as it relates to his mic skills, and there was this one promo where he was talking to Sheamus about nonsense and calling him tater tot. So obviously this guy was basically a schmuck on the microphone. These are obviously ran for him, but Reigns didn't look like a proven star at all. What did help his case was the merch he was selling and the fact that he did have fans. But this story was one that proved that WWE needed to do more to get him over with certain fans. And for a week it almost worked because they brought back Mr. McMahon. That episode of Raw was actually good and built up to the main event like it was an Attitude Era episode. But what also helped Roman Reigns' case is the fact that he wasn't an underdog, at least for those 3 weeks. He demolished Triple H, obliterated him and sent him to the hospital, and then followed up by going through the League of Nations and Vince. He was badass, cool, and actually got the job done without being positioned as an underdog. But then a couple of weeks later, they booed him. Why? Other than the fact that Roman was the golden boy, he was booked once again as an underdog, having to defend his WWE Championship in a 30-man Royal Rumble. I love the concept of the title being the Royal Rumble prize. It makes it feel huge, but at the end of the day, this was done for...
Yeah, that's fire. I ain't gonna lie.
Roman Reigns. When the show went down, everyone had an idea of how it would end, but in the meantime, Roman Reigns had to deal with all kinds of guys. Tyler Breeze, the debuting AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, Big Show, Kane, his own buddy Dean Ambrose, and then number 30 showed up. Triple H. And you'd think Triple H was the face because that crowd in Orlando despised Roman Reigns. A part of that is because he didn't endure the entire Royal Rumble as he went into hiding for part of it only to reappear near the end, and when Triple H threw him out, the crowd exploded. The villain himself, the big dog, was out, and at this point, it was guaranteed that there would be a new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. As always, the crowd stuck passionately behind Dean Ambrose. He was their guy for the night and the other nights as well. And while he did make it close,
Dean Ambrose was that guy, bro.
He didn't score the victory, and it was the game Triple H with title reign number 14. And when he was told he was winning the belt, he probably had the biggest smile on his face. And when I mean told...
Yeah, you know he had a smile on his face. The nigga, the egomaniac.
He probably lobbied for it himself. To be honest, I get the move. WWE was light on talent, but if it was me, it would straight up be Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns for the WWE's most coveted gold in their allegedly biggest WrestleMania main event ever. And the reason why I say allegedly is because they were constantly promoting it and trying to top the 2010 NBA All-Stars crowd attendance. It sounds like fireworks in a well-worked match that would bring excitement and drama to the main event. Is it Ambrose? Is it Reigns? You couldn't guess that one. But anyways, here it is. Triple H is title reign. We set it up very well. On the January 25th, 2016 episode of Raw, Triple H finally returned to the show, but with a WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Vince said he enjoyed the misfortune and miseries of others. And after reading those documents, I mean, that might be the truest thing he said. Triple H said the biggest thing that upset him was a lack of respect for McMahon and said that he might as well be God. They're calling this guy God. Triple H said that this was his religion, his church, and it'll be damned if... Why'd I say damn like Owen Hart? And it'll be damned if somebody like Roman Reigns would disrespect his religion. If Reigns is disrespecting his religion, well, what's TKO and Ari Emanuel doing to it? They're iconoclasts by that logic. He said he didn't need to be WWE champion, but he wanted to be. He basically felt like he was back at home. Roman chants intensify. Yeah, Roman chants, by the way. The game said either Roman conforms or ceases to...
Yeah, niggas ain't even like Roman. during this time, and niggas screaming Roman chants, bro, because niggas hated Triple H that much. People still hate Triple H.
Exist. It sounds like a dull promo, but it was solid. Triple H didn't need to explain much, and he understood that he was, to put it simply, emphatic about his motives to make the rest of the roster bend the knee to him and the Authority, because anything other than what the Authority wants is sacrilegious in the world of WWE, not pro wrestling, although this promo would make you think they invented it. Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose later that night managed to earn a chance to potentially face Triple H at WrestleMania with their performance in the main event. They were gonna face off in a triple threat match at Fastlane with Brock Lesnar. Triple H tried his best to instigate with these three, and he tried to get Brock Lesnar to look in the mirror and see what he was truly capable of. Stephanie, on the other hand, was trying to drive a wedge between Ambrose and Reigns, which was going to be harder than asking her husband to have a shorter match at WrestleMania. Alright, that's an over-exaggeration. What did work was Triple H motivating Brock because he demolished Dean Ambrose, who was always craving a fight, even if it wasn't for his own good. He got his ass beat on 3 occasions without learning the lesson, but he did get one over Brock. Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns were closely tied together despite the drama with the WWE Championship, so Stephanie tried once again. She made Dean Ambrose defend the Intercontinental Championship in a fatal 5-way match. And
That white Intercontinental Championship was so beautiful.
if Roman interferes, Ambrose loses his spot at Fastlane, which in turn make Roman's chances increase. He lost without the Roman drama, and Triple H was watching on closely. Not in the arena, of course, because he was a part-time champion. He did show up for SmackDown where he observed the two guys taking a beating from Brock Lesnar, and the drama between Reigns and Ambrose finally started, which was what the champion had always intended to happen. That match at Fastlane was pretty good and explosive. It's not talked about much because it wasn't for the title, and because it happened in the cold period before WrestleMania. With this WrestleMania, there wasn't much excitement until after Fastlane when the story started to appear, but this was very entertaining and engaging. It wasn't dull at all, but talking about multi-man matches, this will be overlooked, and for good reason, because there's much better matches from that time period. It also shaped up for Brock and Dean for WrestleMania. Reigns, though, steered clear of all this drama to punch his ticket to WrestleMania. Even then, Triple H gave him a strong reminder of what he was capable of and dished out his own version of the attack from 2 months earlier. One thing I find funny is that with Reigns, they always did their best to present him as good, even if it meant violating their own rules, such as blood. Blood is a very touchy topic for WWE, to the point where they find somebody like Batista.
That was a blood capsule. That wasn't real blood. Like,
Well, the Reigns, he might as well look like Ric Flair in 1984, and it's obviously for his own benefit to look more sympathetic to the crowd that already despises him. Here, Triple H dropped him with a pedigree on the steps while some fans were happy and cheering. Wrong guy, buddy. You're not supposed to cheer for him. But then again, Triple H is the one that looked cooler during and after this attack, and he's not the one with the bloody face, which always helps you look cooler. Triple H explained his actions, saying that he attacked Roman Reigns because it was reasonable after he was attacked months earlier. It's also a prime example of not overcoming the Authority. You're not capable of it, and it's similar to people in life. They bow to authority. He got the blood, now he wanted the tears. Before the game could potentially face the big dog, he had one huge obstacle to overcome: Dean Ambrose. Ambrose at the time had gotten massively popular, a ridiculous amount of popularity to the point that the WWE couldn't ignore. Impossible because
Dean was my nigga, bro, during this era. He was my favorite, bro. I'm always glazed this nigga facts.
anytime he would come out, people would stand up and his segments would get the best reactions on the show. Why?
The lunatic.
Ambrose had his character down. He was the hardest worker in the entire company as well, and I'm not throwing that part out for the sake of it.
I genuinely think this nigga a psycho, though. Like, I genuinely think he like this outside the ring. Like, especially now with that bald head he got and that beard.
Years of 2015 to 17, Ambrose had the most amount of matches in the company. At some points, he worked twice in one day in 2 different cities, worked in Miami one day, and then Hawaii. Anyways, Triple H greatly underestimated him and said he was the best supporting actor before saying nobody cared about him at Fastlane. Funny that Triple H would say that because he was the best supporting actor of the Attitude Era. Ambrose tested his bun, saying Triple H wouldn't get in the ring with somebody like him because he's dangerous. The champion obviously had to drag it, and he was like, oh, this is not how it works. So he had to deal with Alberto Del Rio before Triple H would consider a title match. He ended up trying to combat Authority but learned a lesson there. Even then, Triple H gave him the title match only for Ambrose to test him once again. Dean Ambrose took great pride in crashing the WrestleMania party, and there was a lot of conviction from him. And I just want to say, this was a great promo. For one, Dean Ambrose laid out the claim that he would be the face of the WWE being on Oprah, cutting ribbons with Triple H and taking pictures with kids. The reason why I like this promo is because it poses a greater idea than Roman Reigns and Triple H. Ambrose as the unwanted face of WWE. They really could have done something there, and they were already copying the...
They ain't used Dean enough, bro. Dean could have been bigger, bro, like, in WWE.
Austin McMahon dynamics. Why not do it with somebody who actually fits the role as opposed to Reigns? For Triple H, it was bothering him that Ambrose couldn't see what happened to Roman for defying authority.
Like, they ain't booked him to his full potential, his full powers, bro.
He also called him to question Ambrose's drive and passion because look at him. And look at him. I mean, they're worlds apart. His idea of a good time is drinking champagne and closing a...
Dean so big, bro. Niggas still be thinking Dean gonna come back. Gang, when they had the masked men on WWE, niggas was on TikTok talking about something that's Dean Ambrose. Niggas genuinely thought the masked men was Dean Ambrose before they took the mask off, and one was Austin Theory and one was Seth Rollins.
A business call. Ambrose, well, it's dumpster diving. He threw another obstacle in Ambrose's way with a match against Bray Wyatt. That match didn't go too well for Dean Ambrose, who was taken out by the Wyatt family, which allowed for the WWE World Heavyweight Champion to pick up the pieces. Great teaser, just want to say that. Ambrose caught Triple H off guard, leading to an amazing dirty deeds, and Triple H sold it like shards of glass landed into a vital organ and killed him. Okay, this is one of the best short builds I've seen. Ambrose caught fire and became a huge threat. They did the most they could with 2 weeks. With regards to the match, let's talk about it. Dean Ambrose was positioned as the disruptor of WrestleMania 32. The Authority thought the event would go on without a hitch, but not only was there potential for Triple H's plans to be spoiled, but his position would be a lunatic that has no regard for stockholders and, most importantly, authority. Dean Ambrose was the perfect foil for WWE, and I know for a fact that WWE themselves know this, but obviously, Roman is Roman, and that push was more of a priority. I remember this being a great match. It was, from my memory's perspective, one of the only times where Dean wrestled as opposed to brawled. But I'm watching it right now. The beginning was wrestling heavy with Triple H thinking he was gonna have a field
That nigga wrestling in jeans and a tank top 5. Like, come on, bro.
day. But Ambrose was more than up for the challenge. It was an old school battle, but when I was younger during this time period, Triple H's matches from this era bored me. Even the Bryan match, but I loved this match, which was definitely an outlier when it came to Triple H. Ambrose strictly followed the natural pace of the match and found a crucial opening to target the game's knee. Ambrose was less lunatic and more of a great intelligent mind, which he wasn't showing all that much in WWE at the time. Super old school stuff here. They didn't care about generating the reactions. They were building their own match, and to hell with the crowd, at least for the first part. That served as a great basis before they went all out and got the crowd looking forward to the change of pace. Dean Ambrose was always the one catching Triple H with surprises. He was using distinctive moves and strategies throughout this battle. The figure 4, the sharpshooter, then dirty deeds. And this was an amazing spot. Everyone, including myself probably, I don't really remember. I do remember watching the match, but I don't remember my reaction. Everyone thought that there was a new champion. It was too damn good to the point I wish it actually happened here. He was dominating the game, making a mockery out of him, and was almost convinced that the title was his, but he struck big in a moment he shouldn't have. And this led to the pedigree and the victory for Triple H. It was a great match because the attention was mostly on Ambrose. He caught fire at this point. The stage was practically his. It's Triple H's best match of the Shield member for certain.
Like, gang, why y'all like Dean should have won? Like, gang, the nigga was old. I don't get WWE sometimes, bro. Like, of course, Vince McMahon was on this shit. Of course, he was gonna get fit to Triple H. Like,
refreshing change for Ambrose to go for a more wrestling-based style to catch Triple H.
John Moxley, he's perfect in AEW. The nigga, he's perfect in AEW. Dean Ambrose was always like he's like a. Imagine if the nigga was in the Attitude Era. Like, if he was in the Attitude Era, he would have been crazier. Like, I feel like that nigga was in the wrong era of WWE.
And that singular change set the tone.
AEW was perfect for him. The blood, the intense, the craziness and shit.
For the rest of the match. A match that saw Triple H never enter the 4th or 5th gear, let alone the 6th. He clearly bit more than he could chew in this battle, and if it was a real sport, it would have ended Ambrose's way. Bad tactics lead to disastrous results, except Triple H had luck by his side because Ambrose channeled the lunatic side of his, and that alone cost him. It's all driven from that announce table attack from 2 weeks earlier. Okay, Triple H wasn't letting go of the gas so soon. He said that Dean Ambrose is the perfect representation of the fans. The idea of hope. He made fun of the people's lives about doing nothing about themselves, and then Dolph Ziggler randomly appeared. Stephanie, right upon his entry, said, speaking of failures. Oh man. He complained about how they see the fans and said that Ambrose and himself were screwed for business. He didn't care if he was fired. Triple H wanted to keep him though for business and told him that maybe he needed the right people giving him advice and he'd get everything he wanted in life. So he called Stephanie an idiot. She hit her signature move, the no comeuppance. She told him that he'll get any match he wants except for the title if he could be one man. Triple H. This was, of course, a test match for the game ahead of WrestleMania. It's not all too fascinating because Dolph Ziggler is a great wrestler. He gives more than he takes, and for the most part, as a wrestler, you get an easy match with him. This wasn't as good as I remember it, but
yeah, I love Dolph Ziggler too, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
But as always, Ziggler,
I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world.
Doesn't shy away from stealing the show, at least on his part here. When you think about it, Dolph Ziggler's made a career out of near falls and false finishes. It's always, oh, he almost won, and he does a great job at that, but He lost here. Then Roman Reigns showed up. They tried their best to make him look like an angry badass who was about to wreak havoc, and he beat up Triple H so badly that even Jack Swagger told him to calm down. This caused Stephanie to get all emotional, and Roman tried to do that nonchalant thing, not knowing we know why he's acting nonchalant, because the poor guy can't speak. He said Triple H didn't come to Philadelphia because he was scared to get bounced around the street. He did the forced cool.
Yeah, how did that nigga Roman end up becoming such a good promo worker? Like good with promos. Like god damn, that nigga was dookie at promos for a while. Well, he wasn't that bad. He always had potential, but like damn, like it's such a difference on what he is now and what he was back then.
Thing, and Stephanie also failed to slap him, so you knew then and there that Roman Reigns has the 99 overall push. Triple H did show
That nigga did say in that interview with Ice Cube son O'Shea, he said one day I just woke up and y'all was in trouble.
but he took yet another beating. Stephanie screaming like Triple H never endured a beating half as bad as this. And before WrestleMania, there was one final encounter between the champion and the challenger. Triple H cut the same promos he did twice beforehand about how the people can't achieve their dreams, and he said that Roman Reigns did for 5 minutes and 15 seconds. He's talking about the title reign at the Survivor Series. Clearly, Triple H saw the altercation with Roman Reigns months earlier as the beginning of his obsession again, which also means the end of Roman's dream at WrestleMania. The crowd booed like crazy when Stephanie got on the mic, only for them to boo louder when Reigns showed up. He sent the game running only for him to plot for an attack later that night. He pummeled him, beat him up, destroyed him. This set up an intense conclusion to the
but I feel like people wanted Dean. Like I feel like Dean Ambrose was the nigga everybody wanted, bro.
show. Now, I gotta say this once again. I feel like they ran out of content to talk about, because why is the promo about dreams and hopes again? I know Triple H is the authority and they're the bosses, but you could get to the conclusion of a promo, especially for this match, the main event match of WrestleMania, without the same material. Reigns shows up, they brawl, he jumps over the top rope, and that was the build. The intensity was there, but the issue with this story is the promos. Triple H cut the same promo in different fonts. You wake up, you go to your job, you're a loser, Roman will be disappointed. Same thing.
It's crazy. Everybody know the way this nigga speak, bro. Got his accent.
And Roman, I think they did him a favor by not having him speak much.
Everybody can mimic Triple H voice,
because he didn't have a good track record at the time. Listen, I think regardless of certain things that Reigns should be a main eventer, even in 2016. Even though his mic skills were lacking at the time and he was getting pushed harder than these TKO celebrities, the issue with him is that it was insistent on going straight to the top, even if a large portion of the audience didn't like him. And as I said earlier, this guy sold merch. He was relatively popular. I don't forget that when talking about him. I understand why he's in the position that he's in. Don't think this is some, Roman Reigns, blah, blah. He's just overpushed. And sometimes it should be a matter of timing. Based on timing, Dean Ambrose should have been
the guy.
That guy for this WrestleMania. Well, Reigns himself in the main event. I think that should have been the main event, but they wanted to do it one way and one way only, which would obviously mean that the big dog would potentially go through the game. They had a big video package with Hail to the King playing. They're going all out to make this look like a big title match. Even Triple H had an elaborate entrance. An entrance that signified his views on people in life. Ordinary people mean nothing. They're a slave to the system, a system that serves people like him. Stephanie had one of her best WrestleMania attires, and Triple H himself was accompanied by the slaves of the system. That's my interpretation, especially because he was constantly looking down on the working man during this build. And that's why I thought Dean Ambrose would have been perfect for this match. Too perfect at that. I also want to say that I haven't watched this match since it happened. I wasn't too high on this show, and this match didn't give me hope, I remember. Also, I refuse to believe this was 10 years ago. There's no way. I remember everyone hating on Roman Reigns. The hype that the other matches had is just so odd to think that it's a memory from a distant past. In my mind, it was 3 years ago. It was an expected reaction from Roman Reigns. The world's most passionate wrestling fans weren't all that high on him. Triple H also got a way better reaction than him, which is funny because he was doing a lot to step on the fans. I don't really know what to make out of this match, but it was pretty plotting watching it here. Triple H was the face of the fans here. There was interest initially, but then it faded and just became a match. Nothing about it felt notable or special. On a technical sense, there is no issue with it, but it's not flashy or notable. It does have the gift of putting anybody to sleep, even if they were asleep for the entire night. I was so bored.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, Robert that had some quilly WrestleMania matches, bro.
out of my mind when Triple H countered the Superman punch because it led to the weakest stretch in the entire match. It felt like it went on for 10 minutes. Then came the best moment in the match when Roman Reigns speared Stephanie McMahon. This leads to the pedigree which Reigns kicked out of, and from here it was back and forth. Big sequence here with a face buster only for Roman Reigns to respond with a Superman punch. Another good moment followed with a great answer to the spear from Triple H. Stephanie hands Triple H the sledgehammer, but Reigns manages to hit the spear in time. 1, 2, 3, new champion. The idea of this match isn't too fascinating or interesting to even talk about. Honestly, this would have been better served as a blood match. Not literal blood, but something filled with hatred and more of a fight as opposed to whatever this was. Only the time should have been cut in half. I know it's a WrestleMania main event, but I feel like regardless of what the match is, the main event should stick the landing any way possible. That didn't work here. I would have certainly preferred an all-out 15-minute fight if it means Reigns goes through hell to score the victory. Because here, while he did struggle with Triple H, it wasn't as hellacious as you'd imagine. This was the peak of Roman's hate that year, and it would be a common occurrence around WrestleMania season for the next 2 years. I do wish that they would have done the heel turn or something because the guy wasn't working in this role. The fans were pissed off like crazy, and it's not even just, a vocal minority. It is very, very loud at this point. Everyone despised him. It worked well for Reigns in the future, but we don't know the extent of his push if it wasn't for violating the wellness policy. In ring, he had improved a lot since 2014, but nobody was really seeing that at the time. I'll be back with another Roman video in the future about the rest of his 2016 and of course the controversy surrounding his position as #1 in the WWE. I would do a when people hated Roman Reigns video, but I actually want to talk about some of his stories and matches from this time period because there's some good and there's some terrible matches that we got to talk about. So Triple H's title reign went and passed. It's obviously the transitional one to set up Roman Reigns, make him look like the guy and all that. But Triple H shined way more than Roman Reigns, if I'm being honest. Way, way more. People liked his character more, and while his promos were repetitive at times, his character was flat.
I'm on TikTok watching Dean. I looked up Dean Ambrose name. I'm watching edits, my nigga, bro. It should have been Dean Ambrose versus Triple H, bro. Like, y'all don't understand, but he was that nigga, bro. Dean was
Out
that
throughout
nigga.
the entire title reign. Roman, we didn't see it that much. They actually prevented him from going on the microphone because it would obviously expose him in some ways. Whereas with Triple H, we saw a lot. We saw his passion for authority. We saw his love for authority. We saw how defensive he is about protecting the upper class of the WWE in professional wrestling. And that's another issue with Roman Reigns. The fact that they didn't explore his character beyond, I was in the Shield, I have the Shield music or a remix of it, and I still wear the tactical gear. If they explored his character more, maybe people would have liked him. I do know people would have hated Roman Reigns no matter what in some ways, but WWE themselves weren't doing too many favors for him. So yeah. Alright, what do you guys think of Triple H's title reign? Please comment down below and that's for his video. Make sure you hit the spine buster on the like button and press the pedigree on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.
Make sure to comment, subscribe, and all deuces. Triple H. How y'all feel about him? I never really liked it. The only time I liked Triple H was when the nigga was in DX. That was the only time the nigga was cool with me. I'm gonna keep it about.